Yeah, another one. Um, so this is another one about the different types of religions, of course, that are in Attack on Titan. This one is going to be about the cult of Ymir. This would be the cult that is centered around Ymir from the Survey Corps. We learn via kind of the flashback that she has near the end of, I think it's near the end of the first half of season three, no, the end of season two, um, that she's, we have this big flashback that we get with her, and then of course it gets explained to Historia later on when Ymir sends her letter. But we get the flashback through Ymir's eyes of, you know, many decades ago, at least probably I would say at least like maybe 70 years ago, because Ymir kind of said that she roamed around as a Titan in like this, never ending nightmare for like 60 years. Um, but she's this nameless, homeless Eldian girl, and that lived on the streets and was a beggar and everything. And she's found by a man who takes her in, and he gives her the name Ymir, after, Ymir Fritz. And he claims to these other Eldians that she has the blood of the king, that she is a descendant of probably, Karl Fritz, the 145th king of the walls that abandoned them. And she has this power. She has the blood of the king. She will keep us safe. She will keep us immortal. She will, blah 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 blah. Pray to her. And we kind of get a little bit of through Amir's eyes. She's like, well, it gave me a nice place to sleep. It gave me food. It gave me clothes. I wasn't cold or hungry or anything like that. And there were people that needed me, and I figured I should at least, try. I could be this symbol. And she's a symbol for quite a few years. I wouldn't say like a full 10 years, but I would say, quite a few years. um and she gets to dress very nicely. We see her in like this, this white dress and robe type thing. And the congregates, the worshipers, seem to very much adore her. And we get this moment, and like she seems happy, and then the Marley public security forces show up, and they then they take all of them. And the priest, the leader of the cult, basically points at Ymir and says, she made me do it. She told me to do this. She made me do this. It was her idea all along, blaming everything on Ymir. And we have this moment where, they're all standing there with their hands up, of course, because the public security forces are, pointing guns at them, so I don't blame them. And, Ymir, in that moment, she chooses to take the blame on herself, as opposed to, letting even though she could have just let the guy take all the fall for it, but she took part of it. She took it herself. We see another congregant, a woman, and I'll go over her a little bit later too, who, when Ymir like looks over all of the congregates, the woman is like saying, no, like don't do it, like don't claim to be the one that did this. But Ymir still does. And of course, they're tortured, and then they're paraded through the streets, and they get rocks thrown at them and everything, and it's not good. And then of course they're taken to Paradise, to the border there, and each and every one of them are forcibly turned into pure Titans, and Ymir is of course one of them. And she then roams around for 60 years. She roams around, and eventually we of course know that Ymir found her, ended up interacting with the four warriors when they first got to Paradise Island. And Ymir, as her Titan form, as her pure Titan form, ate Marcel, and she turned back into a human. And we have the kind of her, which would also qualify as, I would say it would qualify as a religious moment, when yeah, I'd put that as a religious moment, when Ymir wakes up from the never ending nightmare that she was in, as a pure Titan. and she wakes up in the, we learn later it's referred to as the world of the past, or the land of the past, or just the past, with like what looks like, these stars everywhere, and the ground is, and she's free. She's not a Titan anymore. She has her mind back. She's not this, thing that just wants to go and kill humans and eat them. She's free from that. And that's when she decides, no, I don't care what else happens in my life. Whatever I do, I'm going to live for myself. And of course, then, Ymir makes her way into, works her way into, goes through the Shiganshina district and everything, and hides as one of the refugees. And she becomes this, this thief and everything. And then she eventually hears, when she's inside one of the Church of the Wall churches, stealing stuff, she hears them talk about this girl named Krista Lenz, or that's her code name, that's her fake name, that has noble blood or royal blood, and that she is going to be sent to join the Survey Corps in the hopes that she will die. Which I'm just like, my answer to that in and of itself is like, okay, I get that it's possible that Rod Reese could have another child, and, just do that instead of having, because, he is, a, carrier of the royal blood. He could have another child, but it's just like, wouldn't it just make more sense to, have Krista have Historia raised by Rod, to then have her, later on, then when they find whoever the heck has the founding Titan, that was the attack Titan that has the founding Titan now, and then have her eat him later after she's been raised to basically think that this is her job, this is what she's supposed to do, this is what she is to do, and everything. Wouldn't that have been just a better idea? Like, have Rod raise her to become that. I would just think that would be a better idea. But I'll go over that a little bit more when I talk about the founding Titan one. But what ends up happening is, Ymir hears this, and she hears about this girl that's kind of being forced into this role, and then she goes and she, of course, protects Krista, and her and Krista, of course, become friends, and then, of course, they fall in love, and then, of course, Ymir, wants to protect Historia, and, so we have that. But the other thing that we see that ties back to the cult of Ymir later on is we hear about this Titan called the Talking Titan. And what that is, I think it was during, I think it's stated, I don't remember exactly, it was during the 34th expedition beyond the walls, one of the surveyors named, I think it's Ilsa Langnar, ends up, her friends are being attacked by the Titans, and they're being eaten, and she flees. And she finds a Titan, and she thinks that the Titan is going to eat her. She thinks that the Titan is just going to grab her and eat her. But the Titan doesn't. The Titan kind of corners her against a tree, and Elsa has this, notebook in her hand, and she's basically writing the entire time. And what ends up happening is, the Titan doesn't eat her. The Titan doesn't attack her. It looks her up and down, and then it bows. And I think it says, "Well met, Lady Ymir," or something like that. And, the name Ymir doesn't mean anything to Ilsa, because the name Ymir doesn't mean anything to the people of the walls. To the people inside the wall, to the Eldians there. They don't know who Ymir was. They don't know who Ymir Fritz was. In the book that we see Historia reading with Frida, Ymir's name was changed to Krista, which is, of course, why they give Historia the name Krista, after the character in the book. But what ends up happening is, the Titan bows for her, and okay, good part on Ilsa's, I think it's Ilsa. Ilsa's part, she, asks the Titan some questions, why are you doing this? Why are you trying to do this? And, she's amazed that it can speak and everything. And the Titan speaks of her as, a subject of Ymir, and, addresses her as, Lady Ymir and everything. and does the formal bow and everything, and she questioned, and Ilsa questions the Titan's purpose and origins and everything, and the Titan becomes very uncomfortable with this, very hard to it like can't verbalize what it wants to do, what it wants to say, and it starts pulling at its own skin on its own face, like peeling its own skin back, which is disturbing. And you know and like Ilsa tries to escape, but the Titan grabs her and it does kill her, but it does something very odd. It kills her and it crushes her in its jaws and everything, and the Titan then cries because there's something there that it's just like, no, this is not what I wanted to do. And then it leaves Ilsa's body within a hollowed tree, seemingly in respect, like it kind of buries her to a degree. And so many years later, or a couple of years later, or whatever, Hanji finds the notebook, and this is in I think this is just in like an OVA or something like that that this takes place in. But Hanji, she finds the book and she reads the notebook because Ilsa is writing the entire thing down as it's happening. Talking with the Titan and everything, and I think Hanji is the one that kills the Titan. I think I could be wrong on that, but eventually that Titan would die. But the thing is we learn this later on. Is that Titan, the talking Titan, is actually was we know that obviously it was a member of the cult of Ymir. That Ymir from the Survey Corps was the Ymir of that cult, the kind of the de facto, or the kind of a puppet head of that cult. And we learn that this Titan, the talking Titan, is a former member of it, and that she was a woman. The Titan was a woman a member of the cult that was female, and that I think it's in the flashback when we get Ymir's flashback. She is the same woman that tells Ymir, no, don't like, kind of tries to signal to Ymir, don't take the blame for this, don't do that, because she didn't want Ymir to be punished for that, because she was one of the ones that looked to Ymir as as this kind of savior type figure. And so we get that moment. And that Titan is probably long gone by now. Either, unfortunately, it was either killed by Hanji, I think, or it was then later, just killed by something else, killed by, whatever, one of the other Survey Corps members killed it or something. But there was, that. And, you would think that, if at some point, if maybe there would have been a way to, beyond having, the Titans eat someone that's a shifter, that you would think that maybe they would have tried to find a way to be able to turn people back from being Titans that doesn't involve them having to have them eat a shifter when they're in pure Titan form. The way that happened with Eren, and the way that happened with his father, and the way that happened with all the different warriors, and the way that happened with Ymir. And what they were going to have Historia do to Eren, turn him into a pure Titan and then eat Eren. But we have those moments there, and it's like, but all the people that had the Titan powers before that, all the back when Karl Fritz, the original Karl Fritz was still king, and he basically raised his daughters to do as he told, them to do. And, when you die, have your children eat your spines and then pass it down more and more and everything. And then, the people experimenting and everything, they wanted to turn people into Titans to use them as weapons. They didn't care about being able to turn them back. Maybe that would have been something that they should have learned how to do, is to turn people back from being Titans. That would have been a wonderful idea. But knowing what we kind of know about, the 145th King of the Walls now, that Karl Fritz, he probably would have just, when he was the founding Titan and setting everything up in the walls, even if there was a way of knowing how to do that, to turn people back from being Titans without having them eat a shifter, then he probably would have just, you know, wherever that was written, he would have either burned it or, you know, erased it from the memories of everyone that knew it. And, dick move there, dude. Dick move. Everything that he did was basically a dick move anyway. But that's what we kind of have. We don't really learn too much else about that cult. We know that, Ymir was kind of the, not spiritual leader, but she was kind of the figurehead leader for it. And she was used, but she didn't think that it was necessarily a bad thing. She had food, she had a place to sleep, she had nice clothes. She wasn't alone. She could kind of help people be happy and everything. Which of course leads into when we meet her in the main body of the story, when she's around Krista all the time, when she's trying to encourage, she's trying to make Krista understand that, you don't have to be this thing that's always trying to make other people happy. You don't have to do that. That you need to learn to live for yourself. That you need to learn to live and be what you want to be, not what you think what other people expect you to be. You don't have to die, trying to be this hero like she kept trying to do, like up on the mountain, or, other things that, she was, willing to die to be a hero, die being a hero so that way she would be loved when she was gone. Which, kind of given Krista's, given Historia's past is not surprising. And a lot of people like to draw, comparisons between, Ymir Fritz, who was, of course, this woman that was used as a weapon, and she was, she was pregnant, and she basically had to keep producing, well, she had her 3 daughters, but she, even though she did all the stuff, she was still nothing but a slave and a toy and a weapon in the eyes of Karl Fritz. And then we cut to, 100 or, 1700 years later, or some 1700 years later, we have Ymir, named after Ymir Fritz, who is this false god type, false savior thing that sits on this throne and, is there, and, she wants to make the people happy that are around her and that are part of the cult, that are part of this community, the followers of Ymir. And she wanted to make them happy, and then but then she saw what happened. She was the Titan for 60 years in that never-ending nightmare, and then she meets Krista, Historia, and and then of course now currently in the anime, currently in the anime, because the anime hasn't gotten past this yet because Historia is still pregnant in the anime. We have Historia pregnant, and she's, of course, kept, kind of kept on the farm to keep her safe. And she is having a child because, she's going to have to pass on, she thinks that she's going to have to pass on the Titan power at some point. They'll have her eat, Zeke after she's, given birth. She'll eat Zeke after she turns into a pure Titan. And then she'll have the power of the Beast Titan. And then, she'll pass it on to her child and then pass it on down again and again and again to keep it in a member of the royal bloodline. But we have this comparison between these 3, and I've seen beautiful artwork of it, and I wish I could show it, but, I'm not going to use that without the artist's permission. But I like that idea that it's, it's this comparison, and it's, this crown that keeps passing. And of course, people think that, Historia may have named her daughter Ymir, both after Ymir Fritz, who's now kind of gets to be free, but also after Ymir, that was the woman that she was in love with in the Survey Corps. And that would not surprise anyone at all if Historia did that, if Historia named her daughter Ymir. If that is revealed anywhere, but if the mangaka reveals that, I don't think that's going to make anybody angry. It's Ymir gets this new start to a degree. It may not necessarily be Ymir 100%, reincarnated, or either Ymir 100% reincarnated, but it's that concept that now they do get to be free. Although we do kind of see in the ending of the manga with the extra chapters that free for a while, for a little while, and then the Marley shows back up again, and the other outside world people show back up again, and they start killing everybody on the island again. So let's end there on a sad note. Sorry. That's what I got for this one. If you have, any comments you want to leave or whatever about, something that I missed or something that you think ties into that or whatever, go ahead and, comment. I don't mind. I thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope you have a nice rest of your day. Bye. As long as Lady Ymir is with us, we will be blessed with immortality.